What's up, everybody? Here we go. What's up, everybody? This is Super Mike. And I just got a little bit of information we want to go over real quick today. Press that thumbs up button for me. Press the like button. Press the subscribe and share it. Share it to your social media network. See, it's a little share button there. Press that. Press the subscribe button. Press the little bell icon so you can hear me every time I put something up, guys. Come on. All right. So basically today, I do this type of content every now and then because, see, the history of Black folks in America and in the Western Hemisphere, it's so emotional. So emotional when we start to look back and peer back into some of these subjects. One of the things is here, especially for us and our people, we cannot get caught up into making conclusions, snap-based conclusions when we look into our own history, because what happens is it's so much trauma. It's so much genetic trauma. It's so much epigenetic trauma. It's so many lies layered upon lies. Whole lifetimes, entire lifetimes were spent believing and teaching misunderstandings of information. We taught the best information that we knew that we had available to us at that particular time. So we can't get mad arguing with each other over these terminologies about identities, because one of the truest things that we can say is with mathematics, if you look at these things like mathematics, I mean, you work with what you know and then extrapolate from that what you don't know, but it's got to be based on a standard. And so, based on the information that we have today, some of the, best facts that we can compile today, that's what, I like to do. And it's very necessary to kind of uncover some of this old stuff because it helps us develop a foundation and to better see clearly who we are as we relate to each other as a group of people. And how do we relate to our planet in the development of the human species and of the planet? Because we are the supreme being on the planet, human beings, right? So anyway, I want to go into this today, a little bit of this. I say Black, Indigenous, African. Why do I say African? Because Indigenous, it means that you are from the place where you're at. for the most part. So I mean, you're not going to get too much. I mean, I don't know why people want to argue with that, but black folks are indigenous to the planet. And the reason why I have this little map up here is because these are some of the archaeological sites they call pre-Clovis that, are established. Some of these, some of them, these are Clovis sites, meaning when Clovis is a group of people that they call Mongolian type of Indians. They came across the Bering Straits into North America. Okay, so those are documented folks. But then we already, there are pre-Clovis sites available as well. And some of them go to 50,000 years, so they put pluses on here because they don't know. 16,000 plus, Saltville plus, Cactus Hill, Topper site, 16,000 plus. These are very conservative estimates when you're talking about, archaeological type of sites here. That's in the Americas here. You got the Pleistocene skull over there that was found over here in actually in the county that I live in here, California, in San Joaquin County, over here at Angels Camp. When they were in the gold mine, which dates back to millions of years. This is a modern man's skull, Pleistocene. I'll leave a link that goes over some of that history. Excuse me. But really quick, I want to kind of establish a couple things, and these are the benchmarks of how I look at stuff. I don't like to make hard conclusions because a lot of times our pride gets in the way, and accuracy is more important than your pride and your little, we're so tribal. This is part of the reason why our peoples, indigenous, African, and Pacific Islanders, we're a tribal people. We love to argue. We pride ourselves on this little individualism, and we are very susceptible to the enslavement process. And the universe, if you're doing something that it's not, it doesn't matter how much of your lineage and how much of your culture is embedded in these rituals, how much of your history and how much of an emotional attachment that you have, how much your forefathers did such practices. If the universe is moving in a different direction, it doesn't care anything about your traditions. You see, so, it's going to create. So what we have here is an entire type of peoples, tribal peoples, are very susceptible to conquering. They're very susceptible to history erasure. They're very weak when it comes to the type of enslavement process that our group of people went in. And this history is very important because we got to know when to let stuff go. When we discover this stuff, we can't repeat the mistakes of the past. And we have to verify their mistakes because they left the community weak. All of these tribes, for the most part, were basically the same group of people, but they had ideological problems. They had arguments with each other, and they sectioned themselves off in tribes, which is the same thing we're doing right now a lot of times in this indigenous, this African community. And this is why the word black, the black identity, the global black identity, is not a nation. Black does not conflict with any indigenous nation. The black identity does not conflict, you see, and this is the problem. And some people look at this as an insult. I've heard folks say, "Oh, I don't want to get lost in the black pot." Well, I mean, these type of thinking, you're going to be an individual, small little nation, and you're going to get taken over. Okay, we're brothers and sisters, we're family, we're indigenous people, we're Aboriginal people of the planet. We are black people. Black in our indigenous etymology, keep in mind the concept of blackness way predates whiteness. Okay, we got several type of indigenous concepts of blackness, ancient ones. It's even over there in Kemet, you know, we have a lot of concepts of blackness. But of course, if you take the etymology of the Romans, of the Greeks, if you want to use their stuff, of course they hate blackness. So of course it's going to be all negative. So we don't want to play that game. We're talking about Black Aboriginal peoples of the planet. And this map here shows that we are world travelers. Okay. I want to show this other one here. And unfortunately, this is the smartest way I know how to share this stuff. These are Indians here, and we know that these are these are folks in the Indian Ocean. These are islanders. We know this for a fact because they're there today. The Jawar people. This is in the Indian Ocean. I mean, just drink that in. These are black folks. Look at the phenotype. These are Aboriginal black people. They're not in Africa. They haven't been in Africa. There's nothing wrong with the black people in Africa. So we are all the same people. We've been traveling this planet. We got to expand ourselves here. We got to expand our mentality. And this is why we don't need to be arguing about people calling themselves African or this type of whatever. We don't need to be arguing about that stuff. We're family. Okay, so these are the type of phenotypes that we have. Here's another one. I'm just establishing a couple facts here. This is stuff that we can verify right to this day. This is peoples that exist all over the planet. These are people in Vanuatu. These are black women. These are indigenous people. These look like some black Americans. If you look at some of these girls here, you couldn't tell that they was from some island somewhere right away. They could tell you they was from Florida. They can tell you they was from Mississippi or, anywhere. These are people. We're world traveling people. We've been all over the planet. This is prior to the transatlantic slave trade. So this is a fact that we can verify here. We know that these folks, our phenotypes, okay, these is the phenotypes that you get commonly in Black America and in the Western Hemisphere. The phenotypes that you commonly get North and South America, all of these phenotypes did not come only from the transatlantic slave trade. Many of them did, though. These are human phenotypes. Okay. And this is something that I just want to establish here. I just want us to understand some of this stuff because, see, if you don't start with what you can verify, today, then what ends up happening, you start arguing over stuff that you really can't verify yet. You can't, you're looking at, this is right here, Pacific Islander, brother. This is a brother in the Pacific Islands. I mean, he can tell you he was from Philly. I mean, you put him on the right stuff. These are our people. This is us. So, I mean, and then we got many other pictures like that. So that's what we can verify today. This is what I wanted to get at. I just wanted to show a couple of facts. This is to eliminate some of the arguments here. We know, how do we travel? We're not all primitive people, but if we look here, hold on a second here. Yeah, if we look at over here in South India, uh, this is where those Jawa people at, uh, Seminole Islands, not Seminoles, but the I forgot the name, but they're basically these are the Jawar folks over in the South Indian Ocean here. They're between Africa and India. It's natural. Look at this. Look at this natural subtropic ocean current. Look at this natural current. If you get a boat in this current, it will naturally pull you to all of these countries. It will pull you to these islands just naturally. Now, over here and that is between Africa and Australia and India. And the islands there, the Pacific Islanders. If you pull us between Africa and South America, it's called the South Atlantic Equatorial Current here. It's going to naturally pull us between that. So our people, all you need is a boat, flotation device, something that survived this trek here. And of course, if we go to North Africa, we get the Gulf Stream current. It takes us, this is where Columbus went. He got off of Spain over here with the Canary. It travels you straight down to Haiti, Florida. It took him right there. It just took him right there to Florida, and it took him back up. Okay. And there's all kinds of smaller currents in here too. But the bottom line is these are the main currents in the ocean here. And between Australia and South America, we got the South Pacific current. This brings us all down here to Peru and everything. So these are facts, guys. So there's a fact. The black phenotype has been all over this planet. Okay? And the black phenotype, what's going on, black man? What's up, big bro? Yeah, the black phenotype. Yeah, Sentinel. Thanks, bro. The black phenotype's been all over this planet. And we still here. But in the United States, because we got English history, we speak English, we think English, and we know English was subjects of Rome. And this language is an amalgamation between Latin, which is the language Romans spoke. These are our enemies. They hated us. And Greeks, we had fights with Greeks because, they hid our history. They were masters at hiding history. These are techniques that they came up with. They took over Britannia. The British came out of Romans, and there you go, develop, fast forward. This is the tactics this is the culture of conquering that they have. And that's what they do. They know how to hide the history. They're masters at slave making. They're masters at lying. They lie to one group of people, but they keep the history for their posterity to continue to subjugate peoples. This is what they do. And like I said before, when we hear a lot of arguments in this indigenous African community, we got to understand that we are a planetary people. We're the first type of people on this planet. So really, we are the planet. So we're talking about, it's cool that we get us nationalities and we meek out and ick out certain parts of the planet for ourselves, and we, be proud of our nations and stuff. But we got to understand, when we got a global terrorist on the loose here, and if we're gonna go ahead and live free, we're gonna have to sort through some of this, because we got to stop some of our arguments. Our tribalism is what made us weak enough to be enslaved. Okay, our tribalism. This is why you can get people get mad at the the Arab slave trade. Well, they had a religion. They had a unifying religion. People don't like religion, but these people had a unified religion. Arabs were in tribes, but they got that religion and they united their tribes. They started enslaving your behind. Okay. You know, the white folks up in Europe, they had tribes. The Scottish was fighting the Brits, and, you know, the Normans and all of that crap. They was fighting each other, but they got them a little Christianity religion. They threw that paganism away and they came around the world enslaving your behind. So what are you talking about? What are we arguing about, trying to get back and start this tribalism stuff again? Okay. We're supposed to learn this history so that we can go ahead and unite. Exactly. ADOS, FBA, Hebrew, B1. Exactly. But at the same time, yeah, we can claim all of our tribes, y'all. But we got to understand, if we going to dominate Christian, all of it. You know, I don't beat Christians up. I don't beat Muslims up. I don't beat, you know, indigenous people or Pan-Africanists. Yeah, you know, maybe I don't call myself stuff. I will debate you. I will debate you in love. But I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take it to the extreme where I'm cussing you out. Never, never, never get to the extreme. You still my brother, sister. I'm good. We don't agree. I'm good. That's how it is. I'm never going to cuss you out, because guess what? That Russian and that German, okay, that, you know, Hebrew, that, you know, anglicized Hebrew, that USA, that Britain, that Scott, they're going to call each other white. They may debate, but they're not going to take it to a certain point. They're going to respect each other so that they can link up and continue their domination of the planet. This is the thing we got to understand. This is the point about history. So real quick, I'm going to go through a few pieces of this history real quick. And I'm about to get out because I know how I don't, you know, really like doing them real long things. But let's go to this part here. Let's see. Here we go. We're going to go. So Native American slavery began almost as soon as the English colonists arrived in Plymouth, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Massachusetts Bay. The earliest records date back to 1636. By the end of the 17th century, the colonists enslaved over 1,200 Native Americans or sold them as slaves to other colonies. So now we know. Now I had a conversation with, and I'll read little bit more of this. Prior to 1700s, colonists enslaved most of the native men, women, children, and captured them in war. The Pequot War of 1636 to 38 provided New England leaders the chance to increase trade in Native American slaves. A powerful trading nation, the Pequot dominated southern New England in the decades before the English arrived. Okay, so they were tribalism. They were trying to dominate the Pequot, and the English wasn't here, but they dominated in trade. Though they did not expand beyond southeastern Connecticut, the other nations felt the Pequot's trading power. So they didn't like that. You know, so we're fighting over money and trade. So that's what the natives were doing. All right. But that white man came over with that Christian, his religion. Came over with his religion, and you know, there you go. So let's look at some of this here. Also, I want to show this here. Now, when we're dealing with it's Columbus. So Columbus is the one, he came right over. Now, I got some books here. I'm not going to be able to read all of this here, but here are the indigenous people Columbus and his men could not annihilate. So we call them about the Taino people. So we know that Columbus used that current. He dropped his boat down here on Hispaniola, which is called Haiti today. Okay, so let's look at this here. The Lucan did not know it when 1492. They did not know that their island in what will become the Bahamas had been spotted by Spanish explorers by a Genoese man named Christopher Columbus, and they did not know it. Less than 30 years, their island would be empty from the coming genocide. So as soon as this man got here, Columbus is the one who started the slave trade. Literally, as soon as this man got here, they started this slavery here. Okay, they were doing slavery, and I'll go right before that. They was starting this. They was doing the slavery up there in Spain, but this was because they had just conquered Moorish Spain. But keep in mind, Moorish Spain was black folks, and we enslaved them too. Okay, so they was paying some of us back with that enslavement, but they took it to another level. All right, so the thing is here, okay, so I don't want to read all of this because I want to go through this kind of quick. We can go through this and everybody can see this here. You can Google this and you'll get it. You can read the whole thing. But what I want to focus on here is that with this 50 men, he left some men. When he first got there, he left some men. Okay. With 50 men, they can all be subjugated. Okay, no, Columbus, when he got there, he seen that the people were very nice and they were very nice to him and doing what they, trying to make him feel at home and everything. So he said, these are easy slaves. We can kill them all, right? Okay, his mindset was enslavement. That's his whole mindset. His mindset is looking at them as properties, as stuff that he can use, right? So he said his claim was with 50 men, they could all be subjugated and made to do what is required of them. Some of them, he noted, were wearing gold nose rings. So he seen that gold. He was like, okay, we know we're going to get to that. So estimates, there were 8 million to like 3 million Taino people on these islands. Okay, so now I just want to get to this part. After significantly overselling the prospects for gold to the king and queen of Spain, these people had just become king and queen of Spain because of the Moorish capitulation here. And so after significantly overselling the prospects, Columbus returned to Hispaniola, which is present-day Haiti and Dominican Republic, with 17 ships and 1,200 men. The men he left at the fort for a year had all been killed after they had roamed the island in gangs. Okay, so this is the first gang warfare. This is the first, these are gang members here. They roamed the island in gangs, looking for gold, taking women and children as slaves for sex and labor. So these women and children were slaves for sex. They were having babies. Okay. Those babies, okay, were slaves. So this is the start of it here. The internal slave trade. This Spanish, this is where we hear some of this mindset in the world of what they call Latin world. Okay, keep in mind, Latin is the language of your enemy. Okay, so you think like them, you thinking like the enemy. English is the language of our enemy. We're thinking like our enemies. Okay, so just so we know, we got to be careful. You just got to be careful. Okay. Columbus and his crew searched for gold. They filled their ships with something else that could sell people. Okay. So right here in 1495, I don't see the date right there, but I know it's 1495, but because I read some other stuff. But the bottom line, 1495, this man took 500 Taino. They took selected because they were the strongest and healthiest specimens. 200 died on the voyage to Spain. Many more died once they had been sold into slavery. So right there, Columbus, he brought Native Americans back that way, back to Spain. They had been sold, bred in slavery there. And like I said, they were being bred, that was pretty much the beginning of that. Okay, so this transatlantic slave trade started from here back to the old world. Okay, we need to remember that. We need to remember that. And it's the Taino people. And remember the pictures I showed you earlier. Okay. Everybody didn't look like red Native Americans. Okay, so I want to show this here. I'm not gonna have a lot of time to show all this stuff. I want to show a couple things here. Just want to show a couple things and we'll be done. All right. They messed my thing up. Here it is. So we got the Wampanoag peoples, Nanatic people. So, all right, I'm trying to get to one. All right, so I'm just going to show a couple pictures here. This brother right here is called Ellison Brown, Narragansett. He's a Narragansett Native American. He got his, this is how we look. Those that old lie, to me, it's a lie. They told us, oh, they tried to enslave the Native Americans first, but, they couldn't do it because they kept dying. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, the native black Aboriginal claim the slaves from Africa didn't happen. You see, this is what I'm saying. Exactly. I was watching the John Henry Clark video, and he said the English enslaved over 100 million alone. Okay, so I mean, like I said before, we got to be very careful, very, very careful, because you got to realize we keep digging and we keep digging up new facts, and it's just like a science. Okay, like our people, a couple of generations ago who didn't have the internet and all that stuff, they had some of the best information available, but a lot of records were hidden from them. There's a lot of records that we got access to. We got indigenous stories from all over the world now. We're combining a lot of these little regional stories to get a better picture of what happened here. We got to be careful because some of our views are going to have to adjust. And it's not that, the master teachers were on the wrong track. It's just that some of them didn't have as much information, but they still have, you're not going to really refute too much of what they said, but some of the stuff may need some adjustment. We got to be careful. And the thing is, when we start getting into these cliques, the native black Aboriginals saying that the slaves from Africa didn't happen, that we got to be careful with that kind of stuff. And that's the problem. That's what I'm saying here. I'm saying we just got to be careful with some of this. I'm hearing a lot of talk of tribalism and arguments. And, I don't agree with the term Africa. Even the people in Africa are starting to say we need to change that term, because we know that term, even if you say it is indigenous to the continent, but it did not happen until after, our black Carthaginian Hannibal and his family, the Barca family, they had 3 Punic wars against Italy and Rome to prevent these Romans, these white folks, from naming them. So just based off of that alone, I don't like this term Africa. I don't care if it came from some little tribe up there, which I don't believe, but whatever. Even if it did come from the Afrikaans and some of the Berbers and all this stuff that people say, it may be true. That might be true. But I know for a fact that those 3 Punic wars, Hannibal Barca, I guess I'll do something on those one day. But those 3 Punic wars means that the black people in North Africa did not want that name to be smeared over them. They didn't want that name. They didn't want to give Rome and Africanus the power to name them. But since everybody calls themselves African, I'll work with it, but I know where it's from. I'm not going to argue with people over that. You see what I'm saying? We got to be careful of what we argue with. We don't want to create more hatred and vitriol between ourselves. This is our problem here. This is our problem, and this is what these enemies capitalize off of. So we have to learn this lesson. Because once we do, you got to realize how much power we got. We're already a global people. We're already a global people, you know, and, you know, let's not fall for this lie that the natives was too weak and they all died. We're so strong. We're from Africa. I mean, we working with red Native Americans right now, Mexicans and stuff. They working on these jobs hard. They're working in the hot sun. They're working. They're not weak. We got to be careful. We listening to white folks. You know, they always lie, man. They always lie. That's all they do. Every time they open their mouth, they lie. They lie. They lie, lie, lie. I mean, that's all these folks do. So we got to be careful what we believe. I want to show a couple other little pictures and then I'm gonna be done, because these pictures are pretty important, I think. And because of the New England, I'm gonna have to do a part 2 of this because it's taking too long to get it the way I want it. Because it's a couple other pieces of information that I'm gonna have to put out here just to get the real finish off the points that I'm trying to make. And hold on a second here. Let me get this here. Yeah, make sure y'all press the thumbs up button for me, and share this to your social networks. Put it out there. I'm gonna have to get a part 2 to this because I got to go. I sat up here researching this stuff all night, man. This is crazy. I'm like, man, something wrong with me. I'm sitting up here researching at 2 a.m. I'm on the West Coast. So, you know, it is what it is, guys. The main point of this is when we're doing our research, let's be careful. Let's not try to research and fight just so we can battle each other. Now, we can battle because battle helps us to you want to research. But we're not battling to try to create more problems. We want to battle so we can learn the lessons so we can be stronger. So that's how I look at it. And that's it for the day. Wait for part 2. And after part 2, we're going to have a talk about it. So make sure y'all research some of this so we can talk about it. We're going to try to have a call-in show. And we're going to talk about it. We can probably do that on Saturday. All right. All right, family. Peace.